Uh, just getting started. Good afternoon. Good happy Thursday, April 24th, 2025. LinkedIn friends, HubSpot Nation. Saw this this post from Maggie today. And basically anytime I see product update and data model in the same sentence, I've got to treat it as breaking news and get the word out as much as possible. So I appreciate you joining real quick today, Maggie. And as I share our streaming link in a couple places, would you please, introduce yourself and why you're excited about this update?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Chris. I'm Maggie Mursky. I'm a product lead at HubSpot. I spend all of my days thinking about the HubSpot data model and how it can be easier to understand, easier to set up, and easier to kind of connect to all of the ways you might use it across HubSpot. And for a long time, setting up your data model meant that you had to jump around into lots of different edges of HubSpot settings. We have tried to really streamline and centralize that and pair it with easy to understand visuals. So excited to hear what you think.
Awesome. Yeah, I think we've all felt that challenge that you've described of having to go to multiple places in the settings to try and have fun with the data model. I've been excited to watch the data model in the data management area, like kind of grow up over the last year or two. And so it's exciting to see this come to fruition. And without further ado, I'm going to share my screen
Awesome.
and we will dive in. I've watched the video, but I haven't clicked through it. So almost the truest form of unboxing. Um, if anybody's not in this beta yet, I highly recommend checking it out. This is a new homepage that we're looking at. I've gotten signed up for the data model builder beta, and I'm going to assume I go get it in the data model area,
Exactly.
just here. And then we've got a nice banner up here. If you haven't seen this before, folks, please check it out. Like even this space here, just an immense amount of visibility. You can see limits for objects and things like that now a lot easier than ever before. You can do some analysis. So I've loved what you guys have been doing on the data model, just creating visibility over things we've just never been able to see before.
We love it
Um,
too. And we're eager to I think this is gonna be the year that we really like take off, make it even more powerful.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, like making it uh, fun for us nerds out here with drag and drop builders, which we might not be all the way to drag and drop right now. But as kind of the UI converges on all these different updates that are happening, um, this ability to map things out visually, like finally, is super awesome to think about.
Yeah,
Like,
we're pretty eager to get that the pipeline from I have an idea in my head or on, kind of in Lucid into I have my data model set up and to make that a lot more streamlined.
since you use the word pipeline, are you talking about the process of making it happen or actual pipelines?
That's a good point. I meant the process of making it happen, not actual pipelines, but we're eager
Yeah,
to streamline that as well.
cool. I have some thoughts there as we move through. So I clicked on edit the data model, which really, like, if we can get ourselves there, like first, like when we make changes to properties and objects, and now we can rename them. I had a great show with Lucia Ball earlier about how well you can easily rename objects now. Like what that's editing the data model itself and understanding what that's going to impact is super important. So I love that first step of like, that's what we're doing here. No matter how small this change is, we're editing the data model like
Yeah,
as a whole, right?
absolutely. And we'll eventually merge that beta functionality, the renaming HubSpot objects into this space as well. So it's even more centralized.
All right. I will not try to hunt around for that ability. Uh, That
Yeah,
was on my list.
actively
So,
telling you it's not ready yet.
yeah. Um, so I see data model sidebar. I've got a ton of objects in this portal. This is a demo portal. Um, so not everybody will. Uh, First question out of the gate,
Sure.
the hard one, I'm sure. As somebody who cares a lot about Commerce Hub and quote to cash optimization and orders and carts, is that something in our near future as far as being able to plan that part of the data model into
Yeah,
this?
absolutely. I think that one, a lot of those objects have grown up over the last year: orders, cards, subscriptions, invoices. Right now, this exactly mirrors, other than activities, the objects we have in the overview screen. And our goal is to make it kind of a one stop shop for anything that is an object that you might think of along the lines of a record where you would store data.
Okay. And
So,
I'm actually just noticing,
yeah,
let me
subscriptions
just
was
back
added
out real quick.
in the last, I think,
So you've got
month.
subscriptions
Yep.
somehow made it in here. Uh, that's cool. That's a step, right?
Yeah, more objects coming soon for sure.
Cool. As you like, can you take us through that for a minute? Like why it's not just like get them all in here like right away?
Yeah, good question. Well, I think we started with literally just contacts, companies, deals, and tickets, and then we added in custom objects, and then we added in leads kind of in tandem with that getting rolled out. And so I think for a while we just had some objects were not available to everyone. I think we're pivoting to make that no longer true and make more objects available to more people. This is really intended to be a space for any HubSpot user. So feedback heard. We're working on centralizing everything.
Awesome. Um,
I think a good
okay.
example of that is like not all objects for a while had the ability to create custom properties or association labels. And now that we're adding more of that functionality more broadly, I think it will make sense to have kind of the unified experience for them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, okay. So I'll try not to bury us in strategy too much and start clicking around. So
Sure.
we see nice visibility on and off here. And we can get more particular as far as what exactly we want to see, which is cool. And then let's say we just start working over here and I can drop down to see, first of all, just this visibility overall to be able to like, get totals. Some of these things like we would have to export like spreadsheets for and then just do manual counts. It's
Mhm.
been my favorite part of this space is just creating high level visibility like that. Um,
Nice.
you see our top 10 most used properties here. Uh, and I'm going to guess this HubSpot icon means it's a HubSpot created property.
It surely does.
That's
Yeah, if
awesome.
you click on the drop down at the top, you can toggle to
Oh,
your
wow.
recently created custom properties.
I like that a lot. Visibility of custom properties. Have we made it before? Have we made it already? Where we make another one?
What do you
Uh,
mean?
like often we rush to create a property,
Oh, yeah,
right?
yes. And I
Because
think there's a future that I'm excited about where we can kind of blend also usage with editing. There's already a lot of activity happening in the property space, right? But that way, before you go to make your property, you could see, are there other properties that have similar names that maybe I should use first or delete?
yeah. Um, so we can view all. That brings us over here right now. But we can create from right here, which is cool. Yeah, and let's just say uh, best contacts. Uh, I'm gonna check this out real quick. So I started on the contact, clicked create a property, and now I'm like, oh, maybe I want it on the deal instead. And we'll rename it here, test deal property. And field type, We'll keep it single line text. And we'll click create.
Mm.
Does it like it when I did that?
It should. I wish that it had like auto created if you had been on the contact one, it would have auto refreshed. But watching this live, I'm like, ooh, I wish it had done it for the deal.
All right, let me give it a fair shot then. Test contact property. Single line text. Great. Okay. So auto, don't have to refresh my screen. Yes.
Oh yeah, there it is, right at the top.
Yep. So very cool. I'm gonna, just because I'm often used to doing that in HubSpot, I'm gonna refresh my screen and see what happens. Okay. Bring us back here. Go back into data model. Contacts, deals, quotes, the subscriptions. I'm gonna play favorites and put deliverable up there. So we do see the deal property was added here as we come back in. I do love that flexibility. How in a lot of places in HubSpot, you don't have to figure everything out before you start to work on the thing, because there's nothing more frustrating than getting down a path of creation and then you're like, oh, I'm on the wrong object. I
Yeah,
gotta redo this
absolutely.
part over. And ultimately, I think that is like, I'm just happy with having everything in one spot. You know, being able to see this stuff is really powerful, especially when you're asking users or admins to say, like, please check before you make that next property.
Mm,
It's like, well, if I'd got to remember where to check as I'm creating the property, there's a lot less likelihood that I actually go check, or that when I do check, I make an earnest effort to
yeah.
check and look for all of them. So
Chris, what
making
would
that,
that flow ideally look like if somebody, if you were like, hey, can you check this property exists? How do you think somebody would ideally go about that?
um, I usually am still in the habit of going to settings and going to those properties. I think the next thing that comes to mind is the index view,
Mm,
getting to properties from there. And that's why I think, like, if we can build the habit of, like, okay, properties, objects, association labels, all this stuff equals data model editing,
mm,
and like create that kind of education and expectation of, like, that should be the only way. That's where maybe we start to pare down a little bit of the flexibility for the 10 different ways, we can do things in HubSpot. Um, Especially as we start to ask AI for help in finding some standardized ways to approach this stuff.
yep.
Um, so I see associations tab here. Hmm. Now we're having fun. I'm gonna go to my best friend uh, deliverables, and we're gonna see all the associations here. Got 7. Can easily see what's up here. Can create a new one right from here. Best label. This is always a part where I don't know exactly how to make it easier.
Mm,
Let's say I have the same label across different objects,
mm-hmm.
having to come down and say, you know, um, I'm usually doing this
Different
to
pairs.
kind of tag it based on the objects.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm finding that, like, especially when you have like contacts, especially as it relates to, post sales, order management and like shipping contacts and billing contacts. And as we start to associate them with all the things, it doesn't make sense to necessarily change their labels.
Mm,
Um,
yeah,
but
that
we've got to, the internal name is something that we have to manage
yeah.
uh, when we do that. Uh, but super easy to create a new label. Again, another way to see what exists already and do a little better planning and strategy before we just go create stuff. This mini map down here is oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, what do you
I
think?
I love that.
I also
Um,
I think it's pretty
I
cool.
get some shade sometimes for my Canva maps because I like to go from high level view, highest level view, all the way down to property level.
Mhm.
And I figured out how to do that, but it starts at like 1% down to like 500% zoom, which is not fun for a lot of people, as you might imagine.
Sure.
So seeing just tooling like this, um, even if not like fully leveraging it right now, because it looks like we can only look at one object at a time
Mm,
here,
mhm.
right? Okay.
Yeah,
If,
one, like, from object.
yeah. But if I have all the space to work with, maybe that's when we start to see the full, like maybe we can drag and drop and create some full maps.
Mm,
Um, or even just make space for the pipelines um, themselves. Because
mm,
that's the part when I first was giving feedback on this, I think there's a crucial decision to be made because for me, the pipelines and the visual needs of seeing a pipeline is very different from like the rest of what has been brought together here.
mm.
And I'm curious if does it even make sense to have like here, or is it something that might go over to the journey builder space,
Yeah,
right?
it's a good question. Pipelines are interesting because I think they're, part data model, part they have, like, a bunch of settings and rules and automations that come with them, so I think we're continuing to explore that.
Yeah. And that's where like I think a lot of that stuff relates to the automation part of HubSpot.
Mhm.
So kind of fitting it in with the automation tools, I think makes sense. So uh, but as we look in here, so we've already got one, we can make maybe, yep, can make changes.
Mhm.
Um, we can add a new object. Create an association label. Can I move it?
Mm. Tell me
Or
more.
it's in,
You wanna, like, customize the order?
yeah, like it kind of just put it in the middle here.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
alphabetized, but that's, interesting feedback.
Okay.
It's
It,
alphabetized and then the, same
and
object.
then same on top.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yep. I think as long as I know it's always alphabetized, if we're not, I think once we get to the point of really mapping out
Yeah.
all the data connected to each other,
Mhm.
that's when you probably have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Um, but as long as it's expected to be the same every time, I think it's less important than what the rule is, as long as that's the case. So, um, oh man, this is helpful. Actually, I helped test for the admin arena. I don't know if you've seen that.
Mm-mm.
It's like a survivor style show that Cameron Collins, the community manager for Sprocketeer, is doing.
Mhm.
Uh, he's got 10 contestants and he's created challenges within HubSpot. And one of the recent challenges that I think is happening today,
Mhm.
uh, so hopefully I'm not spoiling anything, but was to build out a specific kind of workflow without using your mouse
Oh,
uh,
interesting.
in the workflow tool. And I had never done that before, so it was a learning experience.
Yeah, cool.
Um, but cool to see that here. Uh,
Can I tell you two more things?
yes, please.
Okay, so there's an ellipsis in the top of that section.
Oh
And
yeah.
that allows you to export an image, which will take capture just like what you're looking at the current canvas.
That is awesome. This is where like even if I can do this a few times and sometimes add that to the Canva and start to like really start to configure the map, or even just to share. So we're screenshotting anyways, and uh, it just becomes a pain when you have to
Yeah.
screenshot all the
Yeah.
time. So having a controlled way to do that um, was cool to see for
Yeah.
sure.
So you can, yeah, you can do it in the objects view as well. And then I think the only other thing we haven't touched on is similar to the property and association flows you went through, you can create a custom object without leaving this.
Oh yeah, yeah, right here. Um, Very cool. Yeah, no, literally all the data model editing in one place,
That's the
which I think
goal.
hopefully speaks for itself. If you like messing around with the HubSpot data model, you've been wanting something like this for a long time. Um, and it's here. How long do you expect it to be in private beta for?
Ooh, good question. We're I feel like trying to add some more of that. I think as you go deeper, like you can't currently see all of the properties or build more complex things like conditional logic, or there's some stuff that's in association settings. So we're hard at work on that kind of functionality. We'll definitely, our goal is to be in public beta towards the end of June. But if, like, as you get deep into it and you have ideas about how it could be even more powerful or centralized, or there's things that you wish are on your wish list, please share them. We're always eager for that feedback.
Awesome. Will do. One thing that comes to mind is being able to change the icons next to the word
Yeah.
listing specifically.
Interesting. Okay. What would you want to change it to?
Whatever. I just never use it for real estate, but I use it a lot for a
Yeah.
lot of stuff.
We thought about that at one point with custom objects. I mean, maybe it kind of nicely goes with renaming objects as well.
Yeah. I treat it like a index
Mm,
almost. So even if it's like a table of contents or
yeah.
like a little list icon,
Yeah.
um, we can dream. Uh, all right. This was so awesome. Thank you so much for jumping on short notice. And
Thank you,
um,
Chris. I appreciate it.
yeah, keep up the great work. And I'm sure we'll talk to you soon.
That sounds good. Have a nice rest of
Thanks,
your day.
Maggie.
Bye.